Hi, and welcome to the Modern Human Podcast with your hosts, Wendy
and Brenda. Hello.
Hey, guys. We are in the middle of April. It's after tax day.
Yes.
So all the accountants out there probably feeling a lot of release.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Yes. But for those of us, for the rest of us,
you got your taxes in. Nice job.
Yeah. That's true too. There is this energy that's in the field right now where there's a little bit of a reprieve. There's been some intense energies going on, but there is beginning to feel, for those of you that have been in the trenches, to feel a little bit of a release. And if you haven't felt that release yet, it is coming. Yeah. So just hang in there.
For this week, it's beginning. You can just subtle. It's a little gentle shift. You can feel it.
Yeah.
Coming back around. Not to say that anything that's unraveled or crumbled in the last couple of weeks, you may still be navigating some of those nuances, and that's very normal. That's what these moments are for, really, to awaken and to remember and let that no longer serves us die. Truly.
And in a really human way, if you are experiencing fear, so you're really moving through some layers of fear, it's really about learning how to choose or find the love or the light in those moments. It's not about necessarily avoiding those fear moments, because the fear can stay, right? It's kind of like, nope, we're going to love the fear. So if you're experiencing levels of fear, it is about just kind of choosing light and love in those moments, if you can.
And if that's a little bit even too complicated, honoring the nuances of what's arising, honoring how you feel all those feels, that really does set you free, because the need is to be seen, heard, validated, and loved. Even our fear does not get to drive anything. It doesn't get to make any choices, because we, in our wholeness, our completeness, make those choices with love, with compassion, with power. And I forget where I was going. Oh,
but honoring it. So
noticing how you feel, noticing what you think, and you don't even need to find the light, because if you're doing those things of noticing, doing those things of identifying thoughts, identifying feelings, then you're already shifting yourself free. That is an action of love and support for yourself.
So, right, saying, hey, I'm afraid right now. Yes. I don't know what to do.
Yes.
So anyway, setting love and light.
You're in the place of power by saying I. And yes, that is part of what's going to be unraveling for this entire year. And I know we probably say that every podcast, but it's really is important to notice the nuances of that. We're not here to kind of be in this, oh my gosh, I'm so happy all the time. And that is an opportunity, that is an option, when we integrate and complete the wholeness of our being, and kind of looking at those other negative things arising. That was air quotes for those of you that don't see the video. Those were air quotes of negative. There's nothing negative in that. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel unworthy. It's okay. Love those things. Be happy in those things. That takes mastery. And you got this.
It's like we're all kind of, the tsunami of energy is coming at us, and it's meant to kind of wipe away all the things that no longer serve us. So old paradigms, old ways of thinking, systems of functioning that just no longer are working for not only you personally, maybe, but for humanity in general. And it's meant to shift and kind of quake and break up right now, if it's part of those systems, and just trusting this process.
And that includes unresolved traumas, unrecognized feelings, unresolved feelings. So it's a lot of healing those generational things that we are all intentfully holding for ourselves and each other to help us. So we're going to be showing up for ourselves, and it's lovely.
Yep. And so this month specifically with April, Brenda and I we connect with spirit on a daily moment basis, basically every moment of every day. But one of the themes that had come up this week, which is like the third week of April, right?
Really,
yeah. It's the 17th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost the third week, third, is that, I just channeled a message from spirit saying that though the primal part of our being is activated during these transformative times, because the primal part of our brain is in fight, flight, or freeze, right? And so how do you deal with that kind of disruption, right? How do you handle change? And so our primal part of our brain is going to kind of freak out a little bit if it's not checked. And they're saying, but at the same time of that happening, because that's a real psychological thing, and taking care of it and learning how to nurture it.
Yes.
But at the same time, there is this divine spark that's activated. And we wanted to talk today about, what this divine spark is, how it can help us, and basically, that part of this shift that's happening too, because as one door closes, other doors are opening, and this divine spark is one of those doors that's opening.
Which is what this is all about. And truly integrating with that for the next 5 years. Is it 5? Is it 6? It might be 6. For these next moments in this timeline and on this planet, like that, it's the tumultuous chaos comes from integrating with this divine spark. That is the remembering and the awakening within us that creates this kind of pull to this other way of being. And it's important and it's relevant. And we have a lot of help because the universe understands that it's overwhelming for us. This is a really big deal. And we are afraid and we are uncertain. So just, practicing some of those things that we want to talk about. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
and
just partly, the divine spark, they're basically saying that, it's affecting our water, it's affecting our DNA. Like they've shifted, we have energetically shifted, whether you're aware of it or not. Our DNA on some level, on the levels that are invisible, because there's like 3 invisible layers of our DNA. And one of those levels is shifted to where it's kind of this opening that's happening where we're becoming more aware of our spiritual essence or our soul self or where we come from. Like all of these things, there's an awareness of our soul, right? So it's this part of us that knows who we are and why we're here and where we come from, and in some ways can help us rise above some of these fears that are very human,
rise above the survival instincts, right? Rise above, I don't even want to say rise above. I don't really like that word, but integrate with a level of peacefulness and of security and safety and support that we know is innate within us, that this is not real, that things are not as they seem in this reality. And then creating, being conscious, responsible, accountable for what choices we're making every moment of every day. That's the reason why we're connecting with Source all the time, because we're practicing integrating with that great I am to cultivate our reality that's in alignment with all those parts.
Right. And recognizing that we are these divine creators, so in this divine spark, it's like, oh my goodness, I have the power to create my reality. So, if you're just waking up, for some of us, we are just waking up, right? And all of these things are coming into your awareness, and you're like, feel overwhelming, but at the same token, it's empowering. Hopefully it can get to a point where you feel empowered because you get to create whatever it is that you want. And do you like what you see? If you don't like what you see, let's now, with our consciousness and intention, let's create a reality. Let's create heaven on earth. Are you with me?
Yes. That's what we're definitely moving into. We won't be able to stop ourselves or help ourselves. It's here. It's innate now.
Right. And in that way, there is nothing to do. It's not like you're just naturally, you're activated. Like that's it. Bam.
Yep.
Beep.
Yep.
You're activated. We're all activated. And that's partly why everyone is awakening. This divine spark, it's just like a light on a fuse, it's like, shh. And it really is going to shift everything internally for you and externally. But there is a key component to this divine spark that they wanted us to kind of talk about this month, and it is about the power of our voice. Did you want to talk about that?
Oh, go for it. Jump in. You can tell but from the painting, right, that it's all this blue. So we know we're going to be talking about that kind of calmness of authentic voice.
Right. And our authenticity. I mean, I feel like that's a good place to start with your voice. It's like, how do we use the voice? Now, ultimately, we use our voices all the time. And we have a class on that, Mastering the Quantum Realm, where we talk about how to create balance in all areas of your body. But with the throat, with our voice, ultimately the ideal is to have your voice connected with your heart, which is your authentic self, with how you feel and who you are. And that's kind of like there's this fluidity with that, right? There's this fluidity, meaning transparency with who you are and how you present in the world. And that's been a little bit out of balance for us in the Western cultures, where people please, or we manipulate and we tell people what we think they want to hear. We only tell people certain things that we want them to hear to kind of create a false sense of reality. And so we are repairing that, where with integrity, I say what I feel and I mean it, right? It's not a manipulation. It is what you see is what you get. And that is something that we are repairing. And just when it is in alignment with your authentic self, the power, they say, of this space is magic. And that's going to be essential as we move into this age of miracles. It's like aligning your heart with your voice, meaning what you feel and what you see on the inside is expressed externally. That's where you can manifest and create anything and everything, where you get to create your reality, And
really just sit still. You're sitting still in the know thing of your divine self, and you're cultivating or bringing to you. You really are in a stillness, and it just unravels to you. Like, okay, here you go, here you go, here you go. You're putting out these purchase orders, and they're delivered accordingly. Here they go. Not to take away from all the things that we talk about all the time, which is that subconscious force that if we're not noticing something, then we are putting out purchase orders from that unknown thing that we may not be looking at or seeing or hearing. And that's okay. You see the purchase, or you see what you've purchased, you take responsibility for it, you acknowledge it, you show up for how it makes you feel, like what I said a moment ago, honoring your thoughts about it, honoring your feelings with it, and then letting it go and choosing something else. No part of you is separate from this experience. It is a completeness, a wholeness of your being. I kind of want to go somewhere else, but
go ahead.
Well, I'm being guided to kind of explore the imbalance of the self is an illusion to bring you back into balance, meaning that in these next 6 years, and especially for this month, and maybe we can talk about it now because we just experienced it a couple of weeks ago, it's this message of this is going to kind of keep happening, where we're going to kind of bring ourselves to this wholeness of our being in the wholeness. And then as we're ready, we're going to make this in a way that is comfortable for us. Only good is ever happening. So when we're, really good, in balance, I mean healthy, whole, and complete, in alignment, then we allow for certain things to arise that are perfect. And it presents as if it's out of balance. And it's not out of balance. It's this magnetic force that just allows us to see the mirror, like, oh, here you go. You've got this. You've got this. You're really angry. You're really resentful. And that can present just as a feeling inside of us. You can notice it in your thoughts and maybe how you addressed the driver that you're driving next to on the highway, or it could be from family and friends and loved ones. However it presents is perfect for you, and just noticing it for the illusion it is, and then move through that in a way that's comfortable with you. And we teach those skills and tools, but just really honoring that, speaking more and more about what is real for us. That's going to be such an asset. Like, we got our toolboxes, right? And they're expanding now into this force of just speak of what arises for you, how you feel about it, and what you think. That in itself alone, I mean, look at this painting. It's like, seriously, just speak of that, do that. That's enough. It's enough to start making such little shifts, gentle shifts, and it explodes. It's like what you said about the, you light the fuse, and it just go, and then all of a sudden you stay on that course, and it explodes everywhere into everything. And then your power chakra's opening up and your heart's opening up, simply because you're making the conscious choice to be authentic with how you feel and what you think.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a great way to start. Like, so some of these concepts are like over your head, or you might not even understand what we're saying. About frequency or divine spark, none of that matters. It really just comes down to the nitty gritty. What you're saying is, really allow yourself to have your experience, whatever your experience is in the moment. Like, how do you feel today? How do you feel? And then sharing that out loud and to create that transparency. And as you do that,
everything
begins to change because it now has to kind of resonate in a frequency of authenticity, meaning like the fake relationships will kind of fall away.
Yeah.
Jobs that don't work for you will just kind of fall away, and other things will kind of rise up to meet you. And that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying in a different way.
And that really is enough. You know, we like to talk about all these nuances and just flesh out all of these pieces of it, and yet it's really just simple stuff of just, you know, really allowing yourself in every moment of every day to just be real, to be authentic.
Right. And as you're showing up for those things, you know, so like certain issues, like if last year you were really insecure about something, or you were really moving through a breakup or something that was really difficult, you know, through time and you showing up authentically, those things or those issues do disappear. And what we would say is you begin to integrate with them, meaning it's no longer separate from you. Like Brenda's analogy of that mirror, like that separate piece of you, you've learned to love, right? And so now it becomes a part of you. And so if you are in a space where you have forgotten the light, or you're overwhelmed with anger or sadness, Spirit really is saying, focus in on your reality, you know, focus in on that. So meaning if you are overwhelmed with other things that are happening outside of us, like the political environment, or even what's going on with wars, or, you know, that can get really overwhelming. And so kind of bringing that back to the self and really focusing in on the self, partly so you can, that's really going to really help shift the rest of reality, right? When you can focus on the self, when that stuff becomes so overwhelming. But I was going to go somewhere else, but they moved me. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, because I wanted to kind of bring through what you were saying before we started, as far as like fantasizing, like allowing yourself to even, you know, because obviously every part of our being is connected to every other part. So imagining, like, it's time for us to imagine. And I always think of that movie, The Never-Ending Story.
Yeah, I love that.
You know, in at the very end, you know, she says, I just need you to create with your imagination.
What's my name?
Right. And yeah, and she's just like, make up stories, make up a reality, a culture.
Oh, at the very end. Yeah.
And it's just like, because she's like,
just, you know, dream.
Just dream. And that to me is that divine spark. That is who you really are, and what we're really, really here for is this experience of whatever. And I'm not going to say that, unfortunately. I feel that we have as a reality based so much of this creation on things that we're afraid of. And unbeknownst to us, we've created more of it because we just obsessed about it, or we worried about it, and we just kept creating. And that's, you know, part of our mission here is saying, you do not need to choose that. You truly can let go of that and leave it, drop it.
The worry, you can let go.
And then create something abundant. And yes, you're right. The minute that you choose love and security and support and acceptance, you are going to meet up with those parts of you that say, yeah, but and what about this? And what about this jerk? And you're going to go, yeah, I totally get it. And I'm still letting it go. And it is this practice, this discipline of saying, I honor that I've had those experiences, that I used to think that way. And I am lovingly, powerfully, compassionately saying, no. I am willing to accept everybody's perspective. I am willing to accept that we are all here for a reason. I'm willing to accept that everyone is loved unconditionally. And then I choose for me joy and happiness. I want to be on vacation every day. I want to have more peace. I want to laugh more. I want to explore more, create more, take more pictures. I want to write more. Whatever your thing is, you get where I'm going with this. It's really that simple, because again, the first step in this isn't to go into, how do I make that happen? Okay, I'm going to be honest, that's 5 steps down the road. Maybe not, I made that up. I just came up with it. But it's steps down the road. The first steps, the being present in the now, is fantasize. Have fun. What would your world be like? The more you can fantasize about it, the more you're pulling it to you. That's the first step. And that's the energy coming through from spirit now. This is what is available to you. And if you can allow yourself to plug into that energy, you can feel it more and more. And then imagine doing that every day. Plugging in. No, I choose this. And I'm telling you what, with so much love, I know I'm on this journey with you. Your being is going to go, yeah, but. And then the news, they're going to throw it at you. And they're going to tell you there's problems with the business world and the religious world. And whatever there is, there's a problem somewhere. And I'm going to invite you to say, no, I'm not having that conversation. I'm not going along with it. And this is where I feel like we kind of meet up with this, like, oh, we're like a cult, or, we're being, I feel like this energy of like, that's so Pollyanna, and it's like, but it's the simplicity. And I don't want to negate or take away from the feelings and how it really feels to be human and have these responsibilities of jobs and kids and partners. Those are real things, and figuring them out in really creative ways. We don't have to know how we're going to integrate it yet. We just have to begin with, how would this look or feel for you in your ideal heart space world?
Right. And then as you're moving through each moment, just saying, hey, does this feel good? And does this align with me? And yes or no. And then you're kind of almost like constantly creating and sculpting.
Yeah, and I would argue not even getting into the yes or no, because the yes or no is almost this like conversation about black and white or right or wrong. And I would just invite you to notice how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
It's almost that like subtle little trap of like getting into, yeah, but it could be right or wrong if I say yes or no. And there is a moment where you do have to make that choice. And yet I feel like the energy on
You
the
don't have to move
planet.
into the choice in it yet. It's just notice.
Notice, how does it make you feel? I don't like it. Cool. What would you like? Right? It's almost like maybe opening it into this.
So instead of like focusing in on the problem and being like, no, I don't like how that makes me feel. And what does that mean?
Right. They're wrong. I'm wrong.
Yeah, because I feel like that's where we get stuck, especially on this planet right now, is like, because we don't know what to do with those negative feelings. Like, we don't know. I mean, we know to like love and validate and whatever, but we don't know how to move on. And you're saying part of this divine spark is helping us move on from that, getting stuck in that space to say, hey, what would you like? Let's dream together. Let's fantasize. And yeah, you want a world where there's no war. You want a world where there's like everyone has food and shelter and there's whatever.
And even for yourself, you want a new car and bigger house, or, whatever, you want to live on the ocean. Okay. Whatever your things are, just allowing yourself to fantasize about it.
In an innocent way. I feel like there's an innocence here where it's just like, almost like Spirit's saying, go back to your childlike ways. And if you don't know what that is, just allowing yourself to dream and fantasize in crazy ways. And you don't know the answers to how that's going to happen. You just let yourself daydream.
Yeah.
In a positive way. Like, I want 500 puppies. Because that would be so fun. Because really what they're saying is like, those are the feelings that it like really are going to begin to be contagious and really help you kind of move through this wave of transformation in an easier way.
Yes.
It's just like, no, think about 500 puppies. Wouldn't that be so fun? Now the adult in you might be like, that's a lot of poop to pick up. But we're not thinking about the poop yet. Okay.
Exactly.
We're just thinking about the puppies.
Right. Or whatever, your thing is. And it is important to kind of bring it full circle and go, yeah, but I don't really want to pick up poop for 5. Like, okay, so then, what would it be authentically if we take the mature, wise part of you and that childlike stuff? Maybe I want 2 puppies.
I'll have to hire somebody to come pick up the dog poop in my yard.
Exactly. We start exploring. We start really just playing around in the land of ourselves, in the land of your imagination. This is so important. And I feel like it's something we've missed in our humanness. And I feel like this is what Spirit has been channeling to us for years about. There's going to be a moment when we teach this childlike, it was like childlike play or childlike innocence, and how that was an element to being enlightened.
Yeah. It's like an important piece of our like shield, our spirit shield is this childlike wonder, childlike curiosity and play and but that is available to us now.
Not taking ourselves so seriously. I mean, can we have that conversation for a second? We take ourselves so seriously. and we're 401k'ing it and we're like budgeting it and talk about confines. And I don't want to negate those or take away from that. If that's
Those have
what
its place.
absolutely.
It is about
honor
balance.
And it's about balance. And can you step outside of that reality into something more in that imagination, in that play?
Because even in that creative play, like even in letting your mind go, if you can really let yourself go there, that's where your intuition, your higher self are going to kind of connect with you. And you're going to be brought to where you need to be brought, meaning, you are going to intuitively start telling yourself things because you're letting go and you're allowing this creative spiritual force come into your thinking self and even in your being. And you can really kind of start playing with spirit in an awesome way.
And truly, it's an element of like all your needs are met and everything is possible.
Yeah.
And you're really just allowing for that and that imagination piece, but just honoring that part of our being is so much more important than we've ever thought. And I do feel like that's part of the energies coming through now.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely do too. It's almost like, it's like how they say like love can heal all. It's like there's a component of this energy that is very healing that we don't really understand the magic of, but it's going to be essential as we move forward.
Yeah.
And it's part of this divine spark that they're talking about. It's almost like a Kundalini awakening, but in a different way where, right?
Yeah, no, totally. And you can feel almost like in its newness and it's all just like, almost like a random or just, it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is. So hopefully you guys can feel that, and where Spirit's inviting you in to kind of tap into that within yourselves and kind of explore that within your own being. They're saying there's a divine spark. And, when we say those words, where do you feel that in your body? Where does that resonate with you? And you try it on because your relationship with that divine spark is going to be unique to you. And it is up for you to kind of explore and let yourself fantasize, let yourself kind of dream, what would your world look like if you literally had a magic wand? What would that look like? And for you to kind of start playing around with that.
Considering too that as the divine spark opens in us, it opens in every other living thing on this planet, which is everything. It awakens in the water, it awakens in the grass and the trees and the animals. It's the same thing. There's no separation. So noticing that as well, because if you can show up in here, then you can notice it outside of you as well, because they're the same. And we'll speak more of that soon to come.
Yeah, it's exciting. These are exciting times, though there can be challenging.
It's
scary, but they're also very exciting.
Right, walking that balance of all of this,
Just walking with wonder and appreciation.
Yeah.
All right, so we can't wait to talk to you again next week. We'll see what comes up then.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on this journey. I love you.
Until next time, bye.